You're looking at two countries that speak the same language, eat the same food, and watch the same movies. They're also pointing nuclear weapons at each other, and both have promised that if they go down, they're taking half the world with them. I'll tell you why the world's longest continuous ethnic cleansing started with a British lawyer who'd never even visited India.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This is a border that exists solely because he had 5 weeks and a pencil. Meanwhile, Indians and Pakistanis in London grab drinks together and intermarry. But back home, in April 2025, something happened that brought them closer to war than they've been in 50 years.
When I will grow up, I will be army and save
Pakistan and destroy India.
India-Pakistan border is full of drama, where both countries lack common sense. The craziness between both nations peak at Wagah, the only road crossing between the two countries. Every evening, soldiers perform an aggressive flag-lowering ceremony that looks like the world's angriest dance-off. Indian soldiers doing synchronized high kicks, Pakistani soldiers strutting like they're auditioning for a martial arts film. Tourists on both sides treat it like a sporting event, and then everyone goes home feeling very patriotic about hating people who make the exact same lentils they had for dinner. You can stand in Lahore, Pakistan, and literally see Amritsar, India. Both cities are 30 miles apart. No difference in the architecture, nor in the food they eat. A Punjabi grandmother in Lahore speaks the exact same language as a Punjabi grandmother in Amritsar. But if you want to visit your cousin across that border, good luck with that, because those 30 miles would feel like 300 miles. You need a visa that takes 3 months, a background check that assumes you're a spy, and approval from multiple intelligence agencies. You also have to promise you won't exist near a military installation, which is half of both countries. And the British lawyer from the intro, he just drew lines based on religious census data from 1941 and hoped for the best. That pencil killed more people than most wars. This blood border came into existence in August 1947. World War II destroyed Britain's economy. The British Empire is frantically giving up colonies before they get kicked out violently. India had 390 million people, multiple religions, hundreds of languages, thousands of years of various groups coexisting with the normal amount of friction any massive population has. But the Muslim League says we need a separate Muslim country, while the Indian National Congress says we should stay together as a secular democracy. The British acted like that wise elder brother, saying, "You're both annoying. We're leaving. Figure it out the way you like." Except they didn't let India figure it out. They hired Cyril Radcliffe, a boundary commissioner who specialized in drawing lines on maps. And what were his qualifications for dividing the Indian subcontinent? He successfully drew borders in Burma. That's it. That's the resume. Radcliffe arrived in India on July 8, 1947. He had until August 15th to divide 175,000 square miles and 88 million people. He used outdated census data because current data didn't exist. He used maps that labeled villages wrong. He never visited 90% of the areas he was splitting, so there was nothing more he could do. The line he drew cut through provinces that had been unified for centuries. There were cities where Hindus and Muslims lived on the same street. Irrigation systems that required cooperation to function, and railway lines that suddenly crossed international borders. On August 15, 1947, at midnight, Britain announced independence and the new borders. People went to sleep in one country and woke up in another. Then the migration started. Muslims in India headed to Pakistan. Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan headed to India. 15 million people on the move, creating the largest migration in human history. And the violence was immediate. Trains arrived at stations filled with dead bodies. Entire villages were massacred. Women were abducted, assaulted, and branded with religious symbols carved into their skin. Families got separated in the chaos and spent decades searching for each other. There were many who never reunited. Conservative estimates say several 100,000 died. More realistic estimates put it between 1 and 2 million. To give you some context, the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed around 200,000 people combined. But the Indo-Pak Partition killed 5 to 10 times that number, and without any bombs. Just neighbor-on-neighbor violence over religious identity. People who lived through partition are still alive. Their trauma shaped their children, who shaped their grandchildren. Every political decision in India and Pakistan traces back to this moment when the British drew a line and left. But the violence was about one specific territory rather than religion. A territory that everybody wanted and nobody could agree on. A territory they're still killing each other over today.
I will open as much educational institution as possible, and I'm proud to be a Pakistani!
Kashmir looks like a screensaver. It's also the most militarized zone on Earth that isn't technically at war. Kashmir's ruler in 1947 was Maharaja Hari Singh, a Hindu king ruling over a Muslim-majority population. When partition happened, Singh thought, "Why should I choose? I'll just stay independent." Pakistan responded with LOL, no. In October 1947, thousands of Pakistani-backed tribal fighters invaded Kashmir, not the Pakistani army officially, just armed men who happened to cross from Pakistan and definitely weren't being supplied by Pakistan's military. Pinky promise. Singh panicked. He called India for help. India's Governor-General, Lord Mountbatten, said sure, but Kashmir has to join India first. No help for independent states. So Singh signed the paperwork. Kashmir became part of India. Indian troops flew in and pushed back the invasion. Pakistan called this coercion. India called it a legitimate accession. The UN called it a problem and suggested a ceasefire. The 1949 ceasefire created the line of control. India got 2/3 of Kashmir. Pakistan got 1/3. The UN suggested a plebiscite where Kashmiris could vote on which country to join. That vote was supposed to happen after both sides demilitarized. Pakistan refused to remove its troops first. India refused to hold the vote without demilitarization. 76 years later, they're still arguing about it. Since 1947, Kashmir has been the reason for 3.5 wars, thousands of border skirmishes, multiple terrorist attacks blamed on the other side, and every diplomatic breakdown between the two countries. And Kashmiris? They are stuck between two nuclear powers that treat their homeland like a Formula One World Championship trophy. Neither will give up. Speaking of nuclear powers, yeah, both of them have nukes, and they've threatened to use them. You've got a nuke too, by the way, but you can only use it on the subscribe button, so use it wisely.
I love Pakistan. I will sacrifice my life for Pakistan. I love Pakistan. We all love Pakistan. Pakistan.
Two countries that have already fought 4 wars, accuse each other of terrorism, and can't agree on literally anything. Now give them both nuclear weapons. India tested its first nuclear bomb in 1974. They called it Smiling Buddha, which is the most passive-aggressive name for a weapon of mass destruction ever. Pakistan accelerated its program in response. In 1998, India tested 6 bombs in 3 days. Pakistan answered with 7 bombs. The international community panicked because this was the opening of a new chapter between two neighbors who'd already killed thousands of each other's soldiers. In 1999, everyone's worst fears almost came true during the Kargil War. Pakistani soldiers crossed the line of control and occupied Indian territory. India responded with military force. For 3 months, 2 nuclear-armed countries were shooting at each other in the mountains. It ended when the US threatened Pakistan with isolation. But during those 3 months, both sides were preparing nuclear options. As of 2025, Pakistan has 170 nuclear warheads, which will cross 200 before 2030. India has slightly more. Pakistan's army chief recently said that if Pakistan faces an existential threat, we'll take half the world down with us. That's doctrine. And it becomes relevant every time there's a terrorist attack, because those attacks keep pushing both countries toward the nuclear threshold. And terrorist attacks happen constantly. Both sides blame each other, both have evidence. You know what this means. Neither is completely lying. India's list of Pakistan-linked attacks includes the 2001 Parliament attack. The 2008 Mumbai attacks killed 173 people over 3 days, while the world watched on live TV. And the 2019 Pulwama bombing that killed 40 soldiers. Mumbai saw 10 Pakistani terrorists hold India's financial capital hostage. The sole surviving terrorist was Pakistani. Pakistan's government acknowledged this. India claims these attacks were carried out by groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, backed by Pakistan's ISI intelligence agency. Pakistan banned these groups, but their leaders still live freely in the country. Pakistan has its own list of India-linked attacks. The Balochistan insurgency has killed hundreds. Pakistan arrested an Indian naval officer in 2016, who they claim was running espionage and supporting separatists. India denies this, but won't explain what their naval officer was doing in Balochistan. Both countries are probably meddling in each other's conflicts. Proxy warfare has been standard since 1947. The real danger is what happens after these attacks. After Mumbai, India mobilized troops. After Pulwama, India conducted airstrikes inside Pakistan. Each attack brings them closer to conventional war, which everyone knows could go nuclear. This pattern repeated in 2025, except this time India went after something more fundamental than blowing those random things. They went after Pakistan's water.
My pledge to my country is that when I will grow up, I will be the scientist like Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan, who helped Pakistan making the nuclear power.
In April 22nd, 2025, terrorists attacked tourists in Kashmir. 26 dead. India blamed Pakistan, but Pakistan denied involvement. The usual script we can say, but the response was different. India suspended the Indus Waters Treaty, a 1960 agreement governing 6 rivers flowing from the Himalayas into Pakistan. It had survived 4 wars and decades of hatred. Within days, water flowing into Pakistan dropped by 90%. India also closed the border, suspended visas, expelled diplomats, and started deporting Pakistani immigrants. In response, Pakistan closed its airspace to Indian flights, paused trade, and suspended diplomatic agreements. Then, on May 6th, India launched Operation Sindoor, airstrikes on 9 locations across Pakistan, and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Both countries mobilized troops, naval vessels deployed, fighter jets scrambled. For the first time since 1971, the world genuinely worried they might actually go to war. The US called for de-escalation. China offered to mediate. The UN held emergency sessions. Because, unlike previous crises, India wasn't backing down, and Pakistan had explicitly stated it would use nuclear weapons if it faced an existential threat. But cutting off water is existential. In response to Operation Sindoor, Pakistan launched its own Operation Banyan on Marsus. This involved launching a few missiles of their own onto specific locations inside India. They haven't gone to a full-scale war yet, but they're closer than they've been in 50 years. They're threatening with a nuclear war when their actual trade relationship is smaller than a busy Walmart. So, say these two countries just launch missiles at each other. They're preparing for nuclear war. Surely they must have massive economic stakes, right? Both governments deliberately make trade difficult. So merchants route everything through Dubai. Pakistani textiles to India, shipped to Dubai first. Indian pharmaceuticals to Pakistan, same thing. This makes everything more expensive and economically insane. But cooperation means weakness, and weakness loses elections. You know what I mean. South Asia is the least economically integrated region on Earth. Only 5% of trade happens within the region. Europe does 67%. Both countries spend insanely on the military, instead of education or healthcare. Pakistan's defense budget crowds out social spending. India's keeps increasing. They could fix poverty faster with cooperation. But the harsh reality is that powerful people benefit from the hatred. In Pakistan, the military justifies its political and economic power through the India threat. Without that threat, they lose control. In India, Hindu nationalism uses Pakistan as a convenient enemy. When domestic issues get messy, politicians pivot to Pakistan. Kashmir crackdowns become national security. Airstrikes boost approval ratings. The world just has to hope they don't actually press the button. Because if they do, that flag ceremony at Wagah will be the last peaceful thing that happens before